Today's video is very important. In fact, it's one for the ages. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, we lead, and we inspire. And I'm talking to you today. When I say one for the ages, we're going to be talking about ages. We're going to be talking about working with people. And I'm not just talking about a business relationship, although that's in there, but I'm also talking more on the personal side of the balance sheet as well. One of the things that we all realize, but too many people don't take it to heart and don't realize how critical this is putting themselves in the place of the person that they are working with, trying to relate to, or trying to teach, develop, motivate, whatever, those types of things. Let me give you some examples of what I mean. When you're talking to a little boy or a little girl, you speak to them, in baby talk, all right? That's the way they talk. You talk about things that they know, you talk in ways that they understand, so on and so forth, because you realize at that particular age, those are the things that are important to them. I was having a conversation with one of my best buddies. His name is Cappy, graduate of Harvard, very smart guy. We speak about once or twice a month. Our conversations have increased over the past year because of this pandemic. There's a good thing, a positive thing we can say about the fact that we're all prisoners, so to speak, to some degree. And he and I talk, and we both have different platforms. He's a writer. He writes 2 or 3 or 4 articles every week that I read religiously on different topics. And if he watches my videos and comments on those, and we share ideas, so on and so forth. But we only talk once or twice a month. So when we do, it's sort of a lengthy conversation, usually anywhere from, the last conversation was about an hour long. All right, so we talk about stuff, we talk about people that we know, blah, blah, blah. We also get around to some serious topics as well. And the serious topic that we talked about the other day is one that I want to share with you. It concerns ages. And one of the things that we talked about was mentoring, and for obvious reasons for me, and the fact that when you're mentoring somebody, it's critical to understand where they are in their life. I mean, that's a critical thing to understand. Let me give you an example of what I mean. I kind of paint myself here as being somebody that's, was a big student. I was lucky to have some mentors. They sat down with me, they spent time with me, they talked with me. I learned a lot from them. And all that's true. Except for the fact that my very first mentor, I had my first sales job. I worked for a company called the California Blue Ribbon Meatpacking Company. And we sold these food and freezer programs, 6 months worth of food, including a freezer for less than what you're spending right now. That was a sales pitch. The food's better than what you can buy in the store. You're going to love it. All right, that was the sales pitch. And I had not had any real sales experience per se. And I worked with this company, and it was a small company. And the owner of the company was also the guy that taught us stuff. I mean, I was a member of a sales force. He had 3 or 4 people that would go out and do the selling. They would make appointments, we would go out, we'd sit down with people, and we'd try and sell our goods. And he would sit down with me frankly, because I was so successful. Why was I successful? Because he said, this is what I want you to do. First thing, I want you to memorize this pitch, all right? I hate the word pitch, by the way. I want you to memorize this presentation. Thank you. I want you to memorize this presentation. There were 3 or 4 of us there, and of the 4 people, I was the only one that actually came back over the weekend and had it memorized. So I had it memorized. I did exactly as he told me to do. He was a master salesperson. And I went out, and guess what? I sold. So much so that he and his wife, who ran the business, used to call me one a day. And after a while, after a consistent period of time working with him, he would pull me aside. We'd have a meeting in the morning. He'd pull me aside, and we'd sit down one-on-one, and he would mentor me in all sorts of different facets of life. Obviously, sales was one of them. but also other different things, different organizations, ways of, the way that he thought about things, and so on. He would point out, and these were all new to me because, hey, at that time I was a 95 percenter. I thought the way the 95% crowd thought. Here was a true 5%er. But here's my confession to you. At this time, I was about 22, 23, 24 years old, a young puppy, and he would pull me aside at the end of the meeting and talk with me, and to be very candid with you, I couldn't wait to get out of there. I really didn't want to sit down with him on a daily basis. And you want to know why? You want to know how stupid I was? I had a membership to the YMCA, which was just down the street, and they had like pickup basketball games at a certain hour, and I wanted to be playing basketball. That was more important to me. But I was not rude. He was talking to me. He was spending time with me. And even though I couldn't wait to get out of there, I still learned a whole bunch from Mr. Mort Mutnick, my teacher. What's my point? My point is, at that age, my focus was, let me get out of here so I can play basketball. And when my focus should have been, here's Socrates teaching you the facts of life, and you want to get out and play basketball? What the heck is the matter with you? Well, I'm running into that more and more these days. And my channel is a mentor channel. My target market, of course, number one is my son. Problem: Eli is 16. Is he even a little bit interested in the rules of success at this point in his life? No. He's interested in girls. He's interested in basketball. He's interested, I'd like to say he's interested in school. I haven't seen a ton of evidence in that. All right, but he's interested in socialization in school at the very least. My point is, I'm making these videos for him because I know that somewhere down the road, and that time period may be 7 or 8 years from now, he is going to be in the position where he's going to want to know the things that we're talking about on Project Eli. Right now, he couldn't care less, unfortunately for me. But I'm dedicated to make this because I may not be at full strength or even around at the time when he really needs me. And as a parent, what's the most important thing? Is you want to give your children all of the tools that you can possibly give them so that they can make a success out of their lives. Now, here's the ironic thing that my buddy and I were talking about in terms of ages and the way people think at certain ages. It's weird that he and I, we're both seniors, all right? He and I are both concerned about some long-term things. As an example, global warming, all right? We're concerned about global warming. Should that be important to us? We're not going to be around when the ultimate results happen from that. We're going to be long gone. So what the heck should we be caring about global warming for? I don't know, but we do. And there's a whole litany of subjects that we think about like that. As a younger man or a younger woman, one of the things people think about is getting the job, getting the income, so on and so forth, instead of thinking long term. People that are younger are more into short-term thinking than they are into long-term thinking. And the people that are my age, for some reason, are very much into long-term thinking and less in terms of short-term thinking, unless it's a health thing, obviously. But as far as political things are concerned, as far as societal problems are concerned, my buddy and I, we wonder why younger people aren't more long-term thinkers. The fact is, it is what it is. So you have to realize the way people think. So when you're talking to someone that's, younger, and when I say younger, I'm saying early 20s, mid-20s, so on and so forth, they may not be ready to learn the things that a worthwhile mentor is ready to share with them to help them, because they're still so focused on their immediate situation, their immediate scenarios. And we find that to be very strange, but it's true. And when you think about it, I mean, younger people should be thinking more long term, and older people should be thinking more short term, but that's not the case. You wonder why that is. And then when someone gets to be, let's say, close to 30, then they start thinking more in terms of success formula, things like that. So my channel is dedicated to Eli first, and second of all, younger people that haven't had the benefit of certain experiences in life, and I want to give them clues, and I want to give them blueprints. That's the key. I want to give them blueprints, because philosophies, not philosophies, technology changes, but the basics always remain the same. The things that you want to do. Back in the old days, you wanted to, make friends with someone of the opposite gender. You go to a dance, you go to a bar, you go places where they're going to gather. Okay, today what do? You get on the internet, you make a date online, you meet people that way. But the end result is you still want to meet somebody. Right? So the way you go about it may change, but the end result that you're seeking still remains the same. Same thing is true with the success formula. There are different tools now that you use to go from point A to point B to point C, but the point is you're still looking to go from where you are to where you want to end up, the success formula, and that is always the same. It involves the same philosophies. Those things do not change. Now, so it's important to be kind of a student of history, but not to be married to it. My buddy and I, neither one of us is really a computer guy, okay? I am more than he. He's, we talk about Facebook once in a while, and he doesn't even say, I don't do Facebook. I don't do Facebook, all right? And I'm a little more liberal that way. I'll look at a Facebook maybe once a week or twice a week or whatever, just to see what's what and who's who. But I'm not married to it, as opposed to today's people that are really locked in to all of the different social media aspects. I'm learning new stuff all the time, but my focus is more on the principles than it is on the technologies, because maybe 6 or 7 or 8 years from now, when Eli is ready to start listening to some of these videos and absorbing them and embracing them and figuring out, boy, that's an issue that I have right now today. How did Dad handle that? What did Dad say about that? Then he'll be ready for it. There's an old saying that the teacher is always ready and the student is ready to, when the student is ready to learn, the teacher will appear. Screwed up that old saying, huh? All right? But that's the old saying. So that's really true. When you really want to find something, when you really want to look for something, and that happened to me. I was in a scenario where I was living in California, just enjoying life and, making a living at paycheck to paycheck. And then I got motivated that I wanted to get serious about my career. And when I did, I found a company. I found the people. They worked with me. You find those things when you start looking for them. But the point I'm getting at with you is, when you're teaching somebody something, it's critical to understand where they're coming from. Because if they're not ready to learn, it's just going to go way over their head. And one of the other things that you learn as you become more seasoned, I don't like to use the word older or mature, but more seasoned, is the ability to think both fast and slow. What do I mean by that? Sometimes a situation calls for quick movement, something that, you know, you've been through that, been there, done that, have the t-shirt, and you're ready to move right now. And other things that come up require more thought and silence. They require you to ponder the situation. Younger people tend to just act right now. They do very little pondering for the most part. I don't like to make generalizations, but for the most part, they have knee-jerk reactions to this, knee-jerk reactions to that. And as you get, as I say, more seasoned, then you learn that there are certain things that require more research, more opinions from other people before you make your decision. Does that make some sense? You know, so and this all goes back to long-term thinking versus short-term thinking. It's ironic to me and to my buddy that the older people are thinking more long-term, and I said, I wonder why that is. I said, do you think it's because we want to leave a legacy? You think it's because we want to contribute? I don't know exactly. I'm thinking that may be the answer. When you're younger, you don't think so much of a legacy or contribution. You think about making money. You think about, enjoying this, enjoying that, so on and so forth. Your paradigm shifts as you get older. My point to you today, very simply, is this. Keep in mind the age of the person with whom you're speaking. They will respond or react. Okay, respond means absorb and embrace. React means go ahead and do something without really thinking about it, based upon their age. Just as a little child will, just as a teenager will, just as a 20-something will, just as a senior citizen will. People have reactions based upon their age. So that's why the title of this is One for the Ages. Keep in mind that difference. Keep in mind the fact that a leopard doesn't change its spots, but it gets older, and it changes direction as it gets older. And I'm not saying that that's always good, because sometimes the older people are so steadfast in their way that they don't want to change anything and they won't accept anything that's new. And younger people, all they accept is stuff that's new. They don't accept any of the old principles. Kind of a difficult topic today, but it's one for the ages. So keep that in mind when you're communicating, when you're relating, when you are either the mentor or the mentee. And because we're never going to end a meeting on a philosophical note, get out there and take charge! I'm Eli's dad.